On March 6, 1976, an infrared camera clicked in an empty house. It captured something that shouldn't have been there. This is the Amityville Horror House, 112 Ocean Avenue in Long Island, New York. Just over a year before this photograph was taken, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his entire family here. His parents, his 4 siblings. 6 people shot dead in their beds. The youngest victim was 9-year-old John Matthew DeFeo. 14 months later, professional photographer Gene Campbell set up an automatic infrared camera on the second-floor landing. He was working with Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous paranormal investigators. The camera was programmed to take timed exposures throughout the night. No one was supposed to be up there. The house was supposed to be empty. The camera captured hundreds of frames. Most showed nothing but darkness and empty hallways. But one photograph showed something different. A small figure standing in a doorway. White, glowing eyes staring directly at the lens. The figure appeared to be a child, about 4 feet tall, with what looked like glasses catching the infrared light. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories like this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I upload videos like this regularly. When the photograph first emerged 3 years later on the Merv Griffin Show in 1979, George Lutz told a chilling story. His secretary had been going through the photographs. She was 8 months pregnant. Every time she picked up this particular image, her baby kicked. When they showed the photo to the Lutz's daughter, she said it was the little boy she used to play with in the house. The boy no one else could see. Believers said the figure was John Matthew DeFeo, the murdered 9-year-old still trapped in the house where he died. The resemblance was striking. Same height, similar features. Those haunting white eyes seemed to pierce through the camera, through time itself. The photograph became one of the most famous pieces of alleged paranormal evidence in history. It was featured in documentaries, books, television specials. Paranormal enthusiasts pointed to it as undeniable proof that something supernatural existed in that house. The image was reproduced thousands of times. Those glowing eyes became iconic. But there was a problem. Investigators working with the Warrens that night included a man named Paul Bartz. When researchers finally tracked down a photograph of Bartz from that same evening, something became clear. He was wearing a plaid shirt, the same pattern visible on the figure in the doorway. He wore thick-rimmed glasses, a kind that would reflect infrared light and create those signature white eyes. The height matched, too. If Bartz had been crouching or on his knees checking equipment, he would have been about 4 feet tall from the camera's perspective. The infrared film explained everything. The ghostly appearance, the white eyes, the eerie glow. For decades, one of the most famous ghost photographs in the world had fooled paranormal experts, believers and skeptics alike. The ghost boy of Amityville wasn't a murdered child at all. It was an investigator, captured mid-stride by an automatic camera, transformed by infrared film into something that looked supernatural. Gene Campbell, the photographer who took the image, never once claimed it was paranormal. He knew what infrared cameras could do, how they could make the ordinary look otherworldly. But by the time the truth started to emerge, the photograph had already entered paranormal legend. The damage was done. The Amityville case itself remains controversial. The Lutzes claimed they fled the house after just 28 days due to paranormal activity. Walls oozing slime, windows slamming shut, a demon with red eyes. But subsequent owners reported nothing unusual. They lived there for years without incident. Many researchers concluded the haunting was fabricated, possibly to sell books and movie rights. The DeFeo attorney later claimed he made up the haunting story with George and Kathy Lutz over bottles of wine. Researchers found over 100 factual errors in the Lutz's account. There was no snowfall when they claimed to see cloven hoof prints. No bar called the Witch's Brew existed in Amityville at the time. Police records showed the Lutzes never called them, despite claiming otherwise. By the way, if you're into dark fiction, like this real-life horror story, I write short story anthologies, novels, and even books on how to write in different genres. You can find all my work by clicking the link in the description. It'll take you straight to my author website, where you can check out my books. But the photograph lived on. Even after the debunking, people still wanted to believe. They argued about hair color and shirt patterns. They claimed Bartz's face didn't quite match. They said the infrared explanation was too convenient, because sometimes people need ghosts to be real. Sometimes the story is more important than the truth. The real horror of Amityville isn't supernatural. It's what Ronald DeFeo Jr. did on November 13, 1974. He systematically murdered his parents, Ronald Sr., 43, and Louise, 43. Then he killed 18-year-old Dawn, 13-year-old Allison, 12-year-old Mark, and 9-year-old John Matthew, all shot with a rifle as they slept, all found face down in their beds, hands above their heads. DeFeo claimed voices in the house made him do it. He changed his story multiple times over the years. First, it was mob hit, then voices. Then he said his sister Dawn killed everyone before he shot her. He died in prison in March 2021 at age 69, never revealing his true motive. 6 people died in that house. Real people with real lives cut short by violence. But their tragedy became entertainment. A best-selling book. A blockbuster movie. Countless sequels and remakes. And at the center of it all, a photograph of a man checking camera equipment, transformed by technology and belief into a ghost. The Amityville ghost boy fooled the world. Not because the evidence was so compelling, but because we wanted to be fooled. We wanted proof that death isn't the end. That murdered children might linger, trying to communicate with the living. We wanted the supernatural to be real, even if it meant exploiting a family's brutal murder. The camera doesn't lie, but it doesn't always tell the truth either. Infrared film sees things we don't. It captures heat and light in ways our eyes can't process. It makes the mundane look mysterious. And in the right hands, with the right story, it can create a legend that lasts 50 years. The house still stands. The distinctive quarter-circle windows have been changed to make it less recognizable, but horror fans still drive by, still take photographs, still hope to capture something unexplainable. The address is famous enough that it affects property values. The current owners have reported nothing unusual. No voices, no slime, no demons. Just a house where something terrible happened a long time ago. And somewhere in the archives, that photograph still exists. A man in a plaid shirt, caught by an automatic camera, his glasses reflecting infrared light, a ghost that never was. A boy who was never there. But those eyes still stare out from that doorway. And you can't help but wonder what they saw in the darkness that night.